This is Stephanie Manley with Copycat.com. I'm going to show you how you can make homemade beef stew. The weather's starting to get a little chilly. Hey, in Houston, it got below 80 degrees, so that means it's time to make stew. I am using about 2.5 pounds of meat here. Now, you can buy stew meat or you can save yourself a little bit of money by buying a chuck roast, and you just need to slice this up into bite-sized pieces so it cooks fairly quickly. I'm using about 2 to 3 medium to large sized potatoes here. Now I do skin them fairly well and I chop them up, and I want to leave larger chunks because this is going to cook for a little bit and I don't want my potatoes to just turn into mush. About 1.5 cups of onions and a couple tablespoons of garlic, because garlic makes everything better. Then I'm going to use about 2 to 3 carrots. I'm going to go ahead and chop those up kind of large. A little bit of tomato paste. I am using beef base. You could use bouillon cubes if you like. They're sold right next to each other, but base tastes so much better. I am using some paprika, great for flavor and color, and salt and pepper, our old favorite standbys. We're going to begin making our beef stew by heating up a couple tablespoons of oil into a large pot, and then we are going to put our bite-sized meat chunks into the pot, and we want to cook these until they're nice and brown. You want to leave your heat on fairly high, a medium to high heat, and you just want to brown the meat. It's going to taste better if you brown it up a little bit. And it's definitely going to taste a lot better if you would just skip this step. It's just going to be a bunch of yuck, a bowl of yuck. So don't do that. Go ahead and brown your meat off a little bit. Takes a couple minutes to do this, and you just go ahead and pull it out of the pan. Now my meat's finished browning, and I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of butter here. And then I am going to add in my garlic and onions, and I want to go ahead and saute those up as well before we add the rest of the stew ingredients. I'm going to go ahead and add my garlic in now because I want my garlic cooked well. I don't think anybody really likes the taste of raw onions and garlic in any of their food. Cook your onions till they are transparent. This is going to take 2-3 minutes tops. And then we're going to go ahead and add in our paprika. I like to add in the paprika now while there's some fat in the pan because it's going to help release the flavors. It's going to be fabulous if you do this. So go ahead and season now. Just stir this in. You just want the paprika to kind of open up. And the fat from sauteing the onions and garlic together really helps release the wonderful flavor and color of this. Now I'm going to add in my secret ingredient. You don't need to add this next ingredient in, but I'm using a bottle of beer. I'm just using a regular ale. I'm using St. Arnold's brown ale right here. I like to use a beer that's a little bit heartier for this. Any beer would work out well. This kind of deglazes the pan a little bit and gets all those yummy brown bits up off the pan, because that's what's really going to add your flavor. Now we are going to put our meat back into the pan. Now see, the meat's not cooked all the way. You don't need to cook it all the way. Just want to brown it and get it on its way. And then we are going to add the rest of our ingredients. And Lily, my dog, is really not my sous chef. She just likes to hang out hoping that I'll drop something. Okay, in go the potatoes. And then next, go ahead and grab those carrots and put those in. Now, if you happen to have some like leftover corn in your fridge, or even corn on the cob, or other veggies that you happen to have in your refrigerator, it's a great way to use them and extend their life. Now, I'm going to add enough water to cover up my veggies. And then I'm going to go ahead and add in my beef base. I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of beef base in. I really like the way the beef base adds a broad spectrum of flavor. You could use beef bouillon cubes. Those do work well. And you know, the beef base is sold typically right next to the bouillon cube, so why don't you give it a try? Not pictured here is me adding in a couple tablespoons of tomato paste. It adds a flavor and color. Highly recommend that. I'm going to go ahead and cook this for about 25 to 30 minutes. This is a short timer stew. And if I'm only cooking it for 25-30 minutes, I do need to thicken it up. So I'm adding about 3 tablespoons of butter and about 3 tablespoons of flour. And I'm going to go ahead and put this into my stew to help thicken it up. So we're just going to drop this into the stew. And after a couple of minutes, it's going to thicken that stew up quite a bit. I always love this little trick whenever I'm making a sauce or soup and I want it not to be so thin. Perfect way to do it. Very simple. You can start out with a roux, but you know what? This is nice, quick, and easy. So again, equal parts of flour and butter, about 3 and 3 here, 3 tablespoons and 3 tablespoons. So it's been about 25 to 30 minutes, and it's time to go ahead and thicken that stew up. And as you see, I'm just going to go ahead and drop in my flour and butter that's been mixed together. Now, it's a great time to add veggies that have already been cooked in your refrigerator. Like you may have some peas or some canned vegetables that you had one evening. You can go ahead and drop these into the stew and help stretch it out and enjoy it for a really long time. So there is my recipe for a homemade beef stew. We're going to stir this in a couple minutes. It's going to get thick. Then we're going to have a great bowl of homemade beef stew. So be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel.